Hello, everybody. My name is Hunter Vero, and welcome to Snow Day, your number one stop for reviews, rants, and other shenanigans in the world of gaming and other entertainment. Thank you for tuning in, and let's get started.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Snow Day. Today's episode is just going to be something of a continuation of my last, in which I covered Ghost of Tsushima and just my initial thoughts coming out the first few missions on it. And luckily, in a stark contrast to last time, I do enjoy the game now. Not to say that it's perfect or that any of my original complaints are gone, they're just either lessened or still completely there, but it doesn't matter because what got lessened was the problems with the combat. For some reason, the game just at some point realizes that it is not fun in a single enemy based melee game to send, you know, 30, 40 enemies at a time, and instead depends on either giving you enough AI companion. Okay, never mind, that was a joke, just giving you a lower number of enemies, or at least a lower number of archers, ranged classes, and allows you to be strategic in your approach instead of just running away, dragging one person from a group outside of the aggro range, and then just rinse and repeat until everyone's gone. No, they do take a bit more methodic approach just after a few missions, I guess. I don't know if they figured it out and then decided to not fix the rest. Trailing and escort missions are still there. They're still bad. I don't know why those are still there. And once again, I feel that the main reason the escort and trailing missions get on my nerves so much is just because they're main missions. Obviously, side content in open world games, especially nowadays, should be at least close to on par with the quality of the story missions, but it's understandable if you have a few, sour grapes here and there. The only problem is when you have sour grapes in your main storyline, meaning every player is guaranteed to experience them multiple missions in a row, it can get horribly tedious. But again, thankfully, at least at this point, I'm about halfway through, I'd say, things get a lot more decent in terms of gameplay. Environments are always beautiful. This is no thing. This is not preaching to the choir. This is beyond that. This is giving a symphony to the Pope. This is beyond any means of, oh wow, duh, because it doesn't matter, screenshot, cutscene, whatever. The game is going to look fantastic unless it's a cutscene in some of the main missions. For some reason, in its goal to become something of a movie game, Tsushima just has a few problems in terms of camera shots because the game on its own always looks gorgeous. But when you throw in the cinematic black bars and you try to hit special shots in things that aren't scripted, it can get a little messy. Character models can appear a little off. The environments can suddenly become a lot duller in color because of any amount of shading. And the standoff mechanic being the biggest culprit of this problem. This being the one main gimmick of the game, where you hold down the triangle button and you wait for a guy to swing and you let go. I don't know why I'm saying this in a mocking voice. I actually very much enjoy it. It's one of the best parts of the game. But the problem is, from a non-gameplay perspective, from an environmental perspective, like the one consistently fantastic part of the game, it can be a little lacking at times. It tries to have these, nice panning shots that show Jin unsheathing his sword to attack his assailants. But the problem is, these aren't scripted events. These are things that can happen at any point, even in the open world. So they just had to program it to fine tune it as closely as possible so that it would look great in most situations. Most very much being the key word. Sometimes it looks like trash, and it doesn't help that the AI is completely brain dead. Obviously, in a game like this, the AI doesn't have to be big brain. All they have to do is, come up to you and swing. But sometimes they can't even do that. I have had story missions where scripted events, like doors opening and a guy rushing at you, just didn't work. The guy got stuck on the stairs. Other times were I would just be roaming the open world and enemies would, like, after detecting me, I would kill one of them and they would all just run away, but that's not at all how they're supposed to behave. Like, none of them are supposed to retreat. That's not how the game goes, at least at this point. Every last one of the Mongols is supposed to fight you or at least get a swing in before, they all go to permanent nap time. But they just run, or worse yet, they despawn. I've had people just straight up despawn on me. But yeah, the funny thing is, at the height of my frustration when I was playing in the beginning, when all I had was just the bad, nothing fun, I decided to go out on a limb and try out the Ghost of Tsushima Legends multiplayer free update. This free update to the game that is a multiplayer mode in a single player game is better than the base game. I found myself just completely flabbergasted by how good it was. The combat just felt so fast, methodical, and insanely satisfying, especially compared to the base Ghost of Tsushima. The classes that were used in the game, you have 4 classes instead of just being Jin Sakai. You have Assassins, Samurai, Hunter, and Ronin, aka Medics, which Medic Gang. But the point is, just the addition of classes and multiplayer allows the game to become so much deeper, especially in combat scenarios, which is mainly what you're going to be doing. The game almost entirely ditches the story, which is hilarious to me because the story in Legends is better than the base game. It's just some guy sitting on a pedestal reading out some mythical Japanese tales to you. I don't know if it's just because I prefer Japanese folklore over, like, realistic fiction. I don't know, but it just works so well, especially in tandem with the fast paced nature of the game. There's not a lot of exposition. There's just talking, fighting, rinse and repeat. It's brilliant. Another thing is that as I went back to the game, the single player, and proceeded to enjoy myself, I noticed that the number one reason I enjoyed Legends so much more than the base game, and still do, I enjoy the base game now, but Legends is still just miles ahead of it. I have so much more footage for Legends than I have for the base game, and I need to be getting footage for the base game and not Legends, but I just keep playing Legends. But when it all comes down to is the base game of Ghost of Tsushima does not want to give you the reins, and that is one of my biggest pet peeves in a game. I noticed that the reason why the combat was so much more rewarding in Legends, even apart from the faster nature and multiplayer style, is because you're given all of the necessary tools to overcome your enemies. In the single player game, as you level up, you can become incredibly overpowered. You can learn to parry attacks that shouldn't be parryable. You have moves that aren't available in Legends that can absolutely decimate enemies. But in Legends, you're given the most basic things. For some reason, things as simple as dodge rolling, perfect parrying, the grappling hook. These things in single player Ghost of Tsushima are not available until several, sometimes even a dozen hours in. It's ridiculous and it's unacceptable. I don't understand what mindset went behind the choice to not allow you to dodge roll until you level up a few times. The ability to use the grapple hook until you beat a certain story mission, the ability to, press the L1 button before a sword comes, like, perfectly, and then get a super satisfying sound, visual, and, like, touch cue. I don't understand what was so hard about letting the player play the game. Everything, even apart from the combat, things like leaving the mission area warnings, trailing in escort missions, as mentioned before, and these massive tips that cover the screen, they just don't want you to have control. And the problem is, Tsushima is at its best when it does, which is why Legend is so much better than the base game. I've said it a million times now, but I can't stress it enough. I would argue for Ghost of Tsushima Legends on its own being a $60 game. I'm very much enjoying it now, and I really do hope it gets even just a little bit better in the single player. I'm going to play a lot of Legends, but we'll just have to see how it goes. Thank you for joining me. This has been Snow Day, and I am your host, Hunter Farrell. Goodbye.
Hey, thanks again for watching Snow Day. Again, I am your host, Hunter Verrill, and I am signing off. Hopefully, in a little bit, I'll have a YouTube channel running up so I can keep all of these in one place. And I will absolutely be getting some better audio gear so I don't sound like garbage when I'm talking. See you next time. Bye.